Welcome to Beyond the Gates 2024. This is Rauta, I am Jerry, and this time we have one of the most legendary acts from Norway, Aura Noir. These guys have been in the scene for, I don't know, 100 years or so. So let's introduce the men of the hour. Sir, please state your name and status in the band.
Apollyon, I'm in the band, Aura Noir.
Aggressor, I'm also in the band.
Also in the band. Now, of course, a lot of the people in the audience already know the band, know you guys from various things, but we're not gonna let you go that easy. So let's start from the beginning. Why Aura Noir of all the names for the band to play black and trash?
Do I have an answer to that? I don't know. It's very hard to find a band name.
Yep.
So we let someone else find it for us. And it was Einar Sjursjø from Duplicate Records, Inferno, and Beyond Dawn. He played also in Virus, Catacombs Records, legendary guy. He came up with a name for us. It was actually supposed to be a name for a Beyond Dawn album, but it never happened. So he just gave us the name, basically.
Now, in hindsight, considering your style, which has always been quite technical, quite aggressive, and definitely very black metallic, it seems almost like a kind of a soft name, like a name that could be fitting for, I don't know, a gothic metal band. But you guys surely kick down some doors and break the barriers with the kind of aggressiveness and technicalities, and well, at the same time being very black metallic, yet standing out from a lot of those Norwegian names who went for more, say, atmospheric stuff or symphonic stuff and all that stuff. Why did you choose this style, or was it like the style choosing you?
I think it's the style choosing us. It's the kind of music we grew up with, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the first kind of music that we found on our own accord, in a way. Because all the music I heard prior to discovering this extreme sort of thrash black metal in the mid 80s, all that was sort of handed to me by my, like parents and aunts and stuff like that. But when I started discovering music on my own, it was this kind of extreme stuff, So I guess it's in our bloodstream, sort of.
But originally he had this one-man project, Aura Noir in the beginning, and it was more like, more strange, a bit Baboons and stuff. So, but then I helped him with his first or second demo, I think. I did drums on one song and guitar on another. And then after that, I think he said, fuck it, let's just play thrash metal instead, and that's what we did. We had this rehearsal room right next to our favorite bar, and so we would go there all the time. And new bands would occur all the time because, different constellations of people who are out drinking, we just went to the rehearsal place and played. So,
but it's not like thrash metal either. It's more like an undefined kind of blend of genres. It's from an era where it was like speed metal and black metal and death metal and thrash metal. It wasn't really defined back then, with the early Sodom and Celtic Frost and Creator and early Slayer and stuff like that. They didn't call themselves any like black metal.
Yeah, that's true. It was a very different territory back in the 80s. Like, you could just go for thrash metal and not give a damn, and later on people would be like, okay, this band goes this box and this band goes to another box and stuff like that.
We would just focus on the more evil sounding or whatever from those that area. Not so much the Bay Area thrash, the happy stuff, but more the nasty German thrash metal or
the kind of a Sodom style and all.
Yeah, or
Destruction.
Slayer even, but
early
some Dark
Slayer,
Angel,
first Exodus.
Exodus, stuff like that.
So a combination of basically German and American styles and something else.
Yeah. And a bit of black metal too, maybe.
But your style is definitely quite blackish. What are we talking about? How it sounds, how the vocals are. So you kind of made it sure this is very, very Norwegian sounding in the sense that this is definitely part of the whole black metal movement, even if it stands out from bands like, say, Bergen or Emperor, which are very, very different. How were you like accepted or taking the part of the scene, or were some people like questioning you why you go so trashy style?
I think most of the musicians in the scene, they understood everything, and they were always fans from the beginning. It was more maybe some of the younger fans who didn't quite understand what we were doing, like drinking beers on the graveyard and stuff like that. So I think from the musicians always liked us, but maybe some of the young kids didn't quite understand what we were doing. They were still caught up with all the other typical Norwegian sounding bands.
Because I mean, I come from Finland, and when I remember hearing you guys, I'm pretty sure it was more like late 90s rather than mid 90s, but nonetheless 90s. And I remember nobody was like questioning what you guys were doing. It was kind of accepted that Norway has a variety of things. And for example, for me, in my case, I come definitely from a trashier and heavier heavy metal background as well. So there was not like questioning, okay, this is too much this or too much that. So I was just wondering, because the whole scene was so scattered in a way, with some bands going in totally different direction. But you also have a big part of history in various other bands, like what is not often like necessarily cited, but for example, Satyricon, Vedbu and Zende, you also have part of those bands, and like a mark in history which is not often recognized. How people know this, or do they even know this? Do they even recognize these steps taken?
I don't know. It's I don't know how to. It's a long time ago, and I mean, I was a part of starting the band Satyricon back in '91, but it sort of developed without me in a way.
Yeah.
And Ulver, I started that as well, and so I had to. I wanted to go a different way. It's like if you have a creative force in a band, it's that's very defined, you know. And I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted my sort of output on it in a way. So it's. But it's whether it's, I don't know if it's recognized. I don't really care.
But do you still take some pride in sense, like now you mentioned Ulver also, and of course Satyricon becoming one of the biggest. Do you take certain pride that these, whatever seed you were planting, kind of growing on their own while you were focusing on other stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always the most important thing is the current work that you're doing. You know? So all the past is sort of it's not really relevant in a way. So, but of course, it's cool to have been a part of it and see that it's successful and all that. That's good.
Now, you're one of the very few dynamic duos in Norway, meaning that you've been together for decades. There are a few others, of course, Satyricon, Satyr, Frosten, Dark Thrones, Fenris and Nocturnal Culta, but apart from that, there are only few bands which have been able to keep it going on, making new music without going different paths, having fights or drama, whatnot. What is your secret to this, I don't know, brotherhood, camaraderie, friendship of, you know, staying together, making good music, album after another?
I don't know, but I was talking to some guys yesterday, because you know now we are in Bergen, that's in the west coast. They are quite different from us. I spoke to also to Fenris the last week, and I mentioned to him, hey, we never touched, we don't even shake hands, we never hug or anything, like they do over in Bergen, because here if they have one beer, it's like, I love you, you're my best friend in the whole world. And maybe that's why, because we don't have all this physical contact, and we're not that close, but maybe we still love each other. Who knows?
That's quite Finnish sounding to me. We're brothers, but we don't hug or shake hands.
We don't hug. Even when we're drunk, we never hug or touch. I've never touched.
Maybe once or something. But it's I don't know if it's the distance, but it's also it's a kind of we have it's a good set of personalities. I think that's
important.
that we're very different.
And I love all his. I love playing all the stuff he makes, and yeah. So that helps.
What keeps you going? Still doing the very same style, which seems kind of like how to say. It's ageless. Your music is something that you could kind of put on in the 80s, you could definitely put in the 90s, but still even your later albums, I mean the later music which have you been putting out in 2000s, it really could change a couple of albums in various places, like this could have come out in 94, or this could have been coming out of 2007. It's kind of like hard to define any given sound versus a lot of bands which have changed your career. Like, how do you keep it going so it sounds like you cannot trace it back?
We spend a long time between the but yeah, that's the thing we're going for, like timeless metal, you know, thrashy or dirty stuff. We always go for that organic sound too, so maybe that helps. We're not easily fascinated by modern equipment and things, because
Also, it's important to not have anything outside ourselves. You know, sort of wanting us to make music. It is. We have to make it on our own accord, and it has to come from the inside, you know. And then it can't be any record label, or even our fans cannot sort of tell us to make music. We just have to do it when we feel like it.
Since you have other outlets, other bands, projects, whatnot, more or less active throughout the years, how much it helps, or hinders for that matter, to keep Aura Noir what it is?
hinders, helps.
I think all our various projects are very different, so it's a completely different organism in a way. So it doesn't really hinder.
So you can like keep the brain going while the heart pumps and keep it separated?
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Now, considering that you are good on stage, that there's this aggression, there's this passion and all that stuff, and yet you still keep making these albums kind of a steady but not too fast pace, which one you are first and foremost? I want to ask individually, live band or studio band? Let's start with you first. Like gun pointing at your head, like if you really had to choose one over the other.
I think I'm more comfortable playing live, actually. I really like playing live.
I'm leaning towards live myself. Yeah. I think many of our recordings also maybe are not. It feels better live, much of the material. So yeah, I think we're pretty good live. At least nowadays too. It's very very comfortable to play live. With when we have Tank, the drummer, with us and everything. Just before I had a little break before the COVID and stuff, I was tired of the whole thing because I had to play drums and sing at the same time.
Yeah,
I was not loving it, but now it's great again. And I think it sounds pretty good too. So yes, live band, but also studio is fun.
Now, considering the energy that you have and all, how much age has changed your way to do music, way to perform it live? How much more taxing it is to do Aura Noir?
I don't know. Age didn't play that much of a part yet. I think. I mean, my voice got much darker and things and stuff like that. But in the end, I think the age part is more noticeable because you don't get to rehearse as often as we did before because you didn't have any commitments or anything, so we could just rehearse 3-4 times a week. So now things take longer because we don't get to meet up that often. But I mean, apart from that, it's not more difficult to play anything or whatever. So, but maybe in some years, who knows?
I think it's easier actually to play now than it used to be.
How come?
It's when you were younger, you were sort of striving for something, but now you're sort of more relaxed about it.
Like less stress?
Yeah, less stress, and you can rest on your playing in a way.
How are things changed since, say, the 90s in terms of touring or making, gigs outside Norway? Are things better, or were they better, or is there really a change how you are like taken care of when you're given a gig to play?
It's much better now. Much better.
What has changed the most?
I think the whole festival scene is just more professional, and it's the whole thing is more professional. So it's no longer you arrive at that place and there's no hotel and you have to sleep in someone's apartment. All that kind of stuff.
Sleep at the rehearsal room floor, and here is a 6-pack of beer for you, five people or whatever.
Yeah, we don't really do the long tours anymore either, so maybe that would be more stressful at our age, but
easier to recover, I guess.
Yeah, when you're young, possibly.
What about the scene in total? Not just focusing on Norway or even black metal or black thrash. But how things have changed in terms of like new genres popping up, and the whole, say, metal scene in terms of events, festivals, gigs, fan base changed. How do you see it? Are you old men yelling at the sky and the cloud, or are you like, oh, it's cool that new genres are coming up? What's your take on that?
Speaking for myself, I'm not very sort of following the current in a way. I'm very stuck in the old music I grew up with, and still discovering new stuff from the 70s and 80s and stuff that I really enjoy. It's just very hard to keep track on all the stuff that's going on and all the new music and there's really great bands and all that kind of stuff, but I just can't keep track of it.
It's kind of harder, the amount of bands coming all the time.
It's extremely hard.
Yeah.
Difficult.
What about you? How much you keep checking out the scene?
I mean, some stuff is good, but it's basically divided into, the ones who are kind of like us, who want to keep things organic and stuff. So I support that part of the scene, and there's much interesting stuff going on from, rock to heavy metal to thrash metal and even black metal, and kind of new styles. But I mean, all the other the modern things I don't care for at all. It's a different world, and if I hear a triggered kick drum, my ears are closed and all that. So
It doesn't take long to realize that you don't like what you're hearing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just takes a couple of seconds actually.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Just turn it off, and that's not for me.
I mean, as a reviewer, I get a lot of like, download this, download that promo, and sometimes it's like you hear half the song and you're like, okay, I'm not into this stuff. This doesn't belong.
yeah.
But do you ever feel like there's like certain line, like anything? These are examples. Anything after 86, anything after 95, like. Are you drawing lines like like you mentioned, you go back to 70s to find out stuff, but and some people, this is very generational thing. What I've noticed, like some people say, like I don't hear anything of the millennial stuff, or I don't hear anything after the 90s or 80s or whatever.
Not so much that, but there are definitely like the year '86. Many of the bands who were really cool then like started releasing not so cool albums afterwards, and there's also I don't know, late '90s, and there was a good period where not much interesting was happening too. So, but I mean, I'm always open for bands from or releases from '88 if they're good. You know, you always have exceptions.
I'm asking this partially because I've noticed this comes with our generation, the guys who are born in the 70s, that we are kind of like bound to strike the line somewhere. And at the same time, while we are making new music, we're like, fuck, if they're gonna draw the line and say anything after 97, and like, fuck, how come we're able to make new music and still keeping it relevant? I mean, you're still making music, which is timeless, but do you think there's some fan out there who's like, oh, anything like Dreams After Deserts, I'm not listening to that stuff, that's new school Aura Noir or whatever. Do you think there's some kind of a challenge to prove like, you're wrong, we are here to make good music still? Or do you give a fuck?
I think there's a lot of people who don't care about anything after the 90s. It's basically just because it's from the 90s, and that's what they like. And but I don't know.
I haven't really met anyone who have been complaining about our later releases, but I mean, I can understand. It's a bit different though. Like from Hades Rise, maybe it's a bit more rock, more Motorhead-ish and stuff. Maybe some people don't like it, but I love it. With that.
Now, asking this from your perspective as musicians creating the music, which is your favorite Aura Noir release, with the exception of the latest one? You first.
The exception of the latest one?
Well, yeah, I mean, artists are right now always kind of about to say our latest album is the best one, but apart from that, which is your like most proud moment?
I guess Hades Rise.
Why?
I don't know. It was the most thought through in many ways. We even recorded plenty of songs several times because we were experimenting with different kind of tunings and all that kind of stuff. And we found the right tuning for the right song and the right speed of the song. And we had a lot of time to make it right. And in the end, of course, it could have been better always. But I think all in all, when it comes to the material, I'm extremely happy with the album.
All right. What about you, sir?
Yeah, I think the same. Hades Rise and also the Merciless, the one before that. So two albums I'm most satisfied with. But on Hades Rise is mostly his song, so that's probably my favorite. I think it's mostly my songs on the Merciless. But at that time, I was so satisfied or confident with my vocals. So I'm very happy with the vocals on that Merciless side. They haven't been quite the same ever since. I blew my vocals screaming at my dog when she was eating her own shit in the forest, in between the Merciless and Hades Rise. So.
Do you still think, though, that you could make the best Aura Noir album to this day?
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I think so. Because I haven't been like 100% satisfied with anything, really. Especially not sonically, maybe. So I think, yeah.
I think it's actually a good driving force that we're never 100% happy with any of our albums.
Yeah, I think it's very healthy.
We get a new chance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very healthy thing. There was once upon a time I like to get as a personal trainer saying like the satisfaction kind of kills the progress. Because once you're like, hey, this is the best shit ever done, and if you're always super happy with done, like there's no room for improvement.
Time.
Now, before we wrap things up, what can we see happening in Aura Noir future? Let's say 2, 3, 5 years even. What can we predict?
We can predict a new album, and it's sooner than later. I think we're already in the process, and it's gonna take its time, but we've started for sure. So new album.
We had a good from New Year on. I think we only rehearsed making new songs until we had this show in London in March or something. So I mean, those 3 months we only made new songs and shit. So yeah, at least we started, but not in a hurry. But we are eager to go back to writing new material and not just spending rehearsals on playing old songs, for shows like this. So that's motivating.
All right. A silly question for the end. What is the retirement plan of Aura Noir?
Retirement plan?
I mean, I asked them that you're not going to be 27 as a rock star and die because you're way past that, but...
Yeah. What's 27 times 2? 54? 4 years? 4 more years? 4 more years.
4 more years. Rock and roll and Motorhead and thrash and shit.
Yeah.
And that's going to burn the road.
No, it's not 4 more. It's I think Norwegian retirement is at 67.
So you maybe do it 3 times then? 27
so
3 times?
That's 17 years from now.
Okay.
So we will retire at 67.
And until that, it's going to be black and trash and... All right.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom for the audience right there? Like, they're going to be the torchbearers of black and trash. What tips and guides you can give to the next generation out there ready to kick some ass?
Piss off.
All right, guys and gals, and whoever you are, this is Aura Noir. This is Beyond the Gates 2024. Keep eyes peeled when you get to see these fine gentlemen on stage. I know they will kick ass. I've seen it. I've heard all the albums many, many times, and trust me when I say this. These are some of the best guys in the genre. And if you disagree, you're probably wrong. So, stay metal and keep tuned for more stuff coming your way. Bye.
Ciao.
Before you go, we need quick social media photos, and then whoever wants to take a 1-minute short video as a teaser of tonight.